All right, what's going on, folks? Happy Thursday, May 8th. Currently 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing the crypto report today because I'm taking tomorrow off, at least away from streaming and stuff like that. Celebrating Mother's Day with my wife and my son. We're going to go up into the mountains. Joined here by my co host, Josh. And Josh, I know you have a lot to talk about, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Let's get into it. Let's start with Bitcoin. What do we got? What are we looking at?
It's a good morning. It's a great day. Crypto looks great today. You got almost $100,000 Bitcoin. What more is there to say?
There's nothing.
Incredible
We can
move to the lows.
let's just cut it off right there and go home.
Yeah, I mean, incredible move from the lows from 76K to sitting at 99.4 right now. Most folks are offside or sidelined right now, and it's just a lot of disbelief, sentiment in the markets of what's going on and how's this happening. And I think the folks in TTI are probably feeling pretty good since we've been taking these positions as we re-entered back into the range and even a little bit at the lows taking some nibbles. So I think we're feeling good and looking for that next move on Bitcoin above 100. Looking at 105 and then new all-time highs in the near future.
I mean, I think the hardest thing for most traders, not just crypto specifically, but just in general, is having the confidence to actually execute whatever your plan is to begin with. And I've been very vocal over the last couple of months now that I was not willing to buy Bitcoin underneath 90K, and I was going to wait until we broke back up and into that range to start buying. And people, well, why aren't you trying to time the bottom? And this thing's going back to 70K or zero for that sake. And, stick to your guns, put a line on the chart and say, listen, path of least resistance up is here. If it gets up there, I'm going to own more. Screw what everybody says. That's exactly what I did. That's what you've been doing. And I'm in with more size than I was over the last couple of months at this point, adding in above 92.5, and I'm looking to add in again above 103.5. I've been very public about how I'm trying to execute this trade. And the big thing here that, anybody listening to this is have a plan and stick to it. And pardon my French, but fuck what everybody else says. Just don't listen to them because you're not going to trade the same way as somebody else 100% of the time. And if they have a completely different plan than what you feel comfortable doing, you're never going to be able to stick with it, even if it ends up working, right? So Bitcoin above 100K, almost there. What happens above 100K, Josh?
I mean, that's anyone's guess. At this point, we have to assume that we're going to probably see a little bit of consolidation above, maybe for a few days like we just saw above 90K, and then a move beyond that. There's plenty of bullish catalysts going on, and the markets look good. We saw that decoupling. We've talked about that for a few weeks from NASDAQ when we look at the correlation, as well as the all-time high break on BTC / the Qs. And so, we expect this move to continue. I've been bullish for, year and a half at this point, and I've been calling for about 185K. That is still what I'm calling, even through this past breakdown down to 75, 76 and back up. So I don't think it's going to be a quick one, but a slow grind up, and we're going to get there eventually.
I mean, if you look at previous oscillations higher off of these secular breakouts in the crypto market, they don't just go 10, 20, 30% and then fizzle out. These things go for hundreds of percent. So before anybody sits there and goes, oh my God, 180,000, absolutely, it could go to 180. It could probably go higher than that. My first PT over 103.5 is going to be in that 150 to 160 range. If it gets up to 185 or beyond that, fuck yeah. Just make more money, right? Okay. Really quick, I want to pivot off of just specifically Bitcoin and just ask your opinion. And I know obviously you're more in the trenches for us over at TTI in the crypto land, but Bitcoin up and over 100K, what does that signal to you from a broad-based market standpoint, both TradFi and crypto? Does this feel like the market is about to roll over based off trade war and tariff scare or inflation scare? Does that feel that way, or is this potentially signaling something bigger that most people are not pricing in yet?
I think the latter over the prior. I mean, obviously the tariffs and the macro economy is important, but Bitcoin has largely proven that it doesn't really give a fuck about that. If I'm being honest, right?
It doesn't.
We had days where we had horrible news headlines and U.S. equities were down, like indexes were down 3 to 5%. Bitcoin was green several percent on the day, and so I think we're going to see this level of outperformance. And one thing that we've talked about ad nauseum for at this point years is that we identify Bitcoin as a leading indicator, right? It is a risk and a liquidity asset, And if we continue to hold that true, as we have for several years at this point in TTI, we could expect that markets likely aren't going to roll over, and Bitcoin and crypto as a whole is going to lead out of this pullback we saw over the last couple of months across global markets.
100% agree. Really quick, because we've been yapping about it for the last almost year now. Total crypto market cap, drum roll, Josh,
Let's go.
$3 trillion. We got it. We nailed it. So inside of TTR, we've been talking about this 3 trillion total crypto market cap as a switch for us to all of a sudden start throwing a bunch of capital back into the market, which is what we're going to talk about right now for the next 10 minutes. Where do we actually want to place this stuff? But the flip has been switched. We are going back into offense, into crypto. I'm not going to worry about any of the headlines or any of the narratives or whatever the 100K follower people on X or Twitter say nowadays. I think most of them are complete bullshit. I'm following what Price is saying. And right now, as you eloquently put, Bitcoin is a liquidity provider, or an asset at least. As liquidity comes into the market, we want to own the stuff that is outperforming in that particular area of the market. Bitcoin is one of those, but we also have other names. So I want to go ahead and you told me you wanted to talk about Ethereum, so I'm going to give you the runway here. We're going to look at Ethereum first, and then we'll flip to the Ethereum BTC chart.
Well, let me first say, it makes me sick to say let's talk about Ethereum, because we have for the last year at this point said you should not be owning Ethereum based on not just the ETH USD chart, but ETH BTC, Sol ETH, all of these charts. ETH looks terrible. The thing I want to point out is, we are now at $2,000 ETH. We had a massive day so far today, a 10% candle. Sol only at 6.8%. Again, Bitcoin at 2.5. But I wanted to flip over to the ETH BTC chart. If you zoom out, it probably makes sense to look at the weekly chart just based on how many candles we're talking about here. But we came right back down to the absolute lows of December 2019. And now we've been, on the daily in the current price range, ranging in a pretty tight range. And I think the consensus online is that, if we see a break to the upside, a continued move from this range, it might be the start of a little bit of ETH outperformance.
Absolutely,
and that's something for us to identify.
Absolutely, yes. Listen, if there is a time, if you're a technical trader, forget the narrative about Ethereum, forget the narrative about Bitcoin. You can do whatever you want with the actual assets, but from a money-making standpoint, this is where Ethereum traditionally flips Bitcoin and starts to outperform. Yes, 100%. I'm on board with this, but let me go back to Ethereum really quick and say that I've also been of the mindset, and we talked about this last Friday, above 2050, which we're basically there. I'm long Ethereum again with price targets at 2,775 and then up near 4,000. So yeah, not only do we have on an absolute basis, Ethereum is breaking back out up into this range at least, which is like the first step. That's really where that starts with me. But secondly, from a relative basis or on a relative basis, Ethereum potentially starting to outperform Bitcoin here. This chart is probably my favorite chart that we're going to talk about today. This is absolutely gold. I love it. Thank you for pointing it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Folks on here may or may not know Gainsey, but he had a bit of a crash out over Ethereum yesterday, and everyone's joking that may have bottomed it. So looking at this range, we see this breakout, and if we can sustain this move, again, it's at a perfect level, 2019 lows. We've come down just nonstop for essentially 4 years. This is a brutal asset to own. Even when it was at $4,000, everything else outperformed it. So this might be the time for ETH and assets that are considered high beta to ETH to really shine.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. Let's go through the majors here really quick and just give 30-second spiels on this. We'll start with Ripple. What do we think about Ripple here?
We've been big fans of Ripple here in TTI for quite some time.
Binance chart. There we go. Sorry, I wanted to use the Binance chart. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're big fans of Ripple. We've been talking about buying this at that support level, kind of above $2, above 210, trying to get long that. This is one of the best charts in crypto over the last 2 months. We've seen a lot of assets draw down anywhere from 50 to 99%. A lot of altcoins are dead right now. They look like shit. They might be green on the day-to-day, but zoom out, they look horrible. Ethereum's a kind of a joking example of that, even though it's a major cap. XRP has held this level. We just saw a bounce off the 200-day simple moving average. It's holding above that $2 level. For me, this is a no-brainer buy zone. You can set stops below the 200-day, below this current area of support, and take this to new highs in the near future.
Absolutely a buy. 100% agree. The only thing I'm going to add there is 3 trillion market cap means you buy the best looking coins in the market. Ripple, like you said, held up during market pullback and holding above its 200-day moving average. One of the few that's doing it. Absolutely a buy. Let's go to Solana here. What are we looking about Solana?
Solana's had a fantastic move off of the lows it put in. We finally saw a break at that 120 level back in early April, where we saw a kind of capitulation down to $100 and then wicks below it and come back up. Again, looks fantastic. It's in a weird spot to get long right here. We were talking in TTI, getting long the 120 level and said, hey, if you want to throw some bids at 100, I'm not sure many folks did it because of the red and the fear in the markets at the time. But it's at a weird level to long here. Yeah, of course. And like it was too much chaos going on. And there were plenty of other charts that looked better than Solana with that massive breakdown below 120 that we were really hoping it held. And so I think for me at this point, I'm looking to get long Solana above 180. I want to get above the 200-day moving average. I want to get above this entire range from 2024 and start playing with that 180 plus number and see where that goes as the market evolves, continues up.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. This was my biggest winner in the crypto space from 2023 into the middle of 2024. So I have a soft spot here for Solana, but I have no current position. I got wiped out on this the last 2 times I've tried to buy it. I think you're right. Minimum above 200-day moving average for me. I'm not interested until we're back up there. But you would assume that Solana does well with the entire market doing well, so why not, right? Last one I want to talk about really quick is BNB. So this is one that I had so much, high expectations for to break out above 670 and run towards that 900 area and potentially beyond, and it just fizzled out. I think I've got taken out on this 2 or 3 times, so I'm waiting. What do you think about BNB?
Yeah, I mean, this is another one. I mean, it's similar to XRP in the sense that it has held a range for so long, and even prior to XRP's breakout from 50 cents to well over $2, BNB has been in this range since March of 2024. It entered on the first week of March, and it has essentially been, in that range between, call it 500 and 630 that entire time, with a couple of exceptions it broke above. I personally, if you want to add a small starting position, I'm happy to add that at above 620, get above the 200-day moving average. I guess that's around 636. So, let's say get above 640, have a starter position, and then add in at about 700 once we see an extended move upwards.
I'm going to play it as it's written up. I'll buy above 670 and let it stop me out a third time. But I mean, I think we're in a situation here where if this $3 trillion market cap holds, nearly everything is going to work in some capacity. I think the hardest thing, which by the way, same thing in the TradFi market right now. A lot of things are working in the TradFi market. What we focus on inside of TTI, though, is what is working the best. We want to own the best. And so that's what's going to be difficult in the crypto market, because in a market where everything is going up because liquidity is entering the space, you might grab a trade, like let's say, for example, BNB, and it does well marginally or whatever, goes up 20%. You're like, well, I don't want to close it. It's up 20%. But if you had an opportunity, for example, and I'm just using this as an example, to own Ethereum and that's up 40%, well, your money would have worked better in Ethereum. So that's what we're hunting for right now. It's not where are the winners, it's where's the winner. So BNB is probably on the at least as of right now, is in 4th or 5th place of names that I want to own with size. I would rather own. Be honest with you, you bowled me up on Ethereum. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm going to go out and buy some Ethereum like later today. I'm going to post about it on the market research side. I'm going to tweet about it. Like, that's a big chart for me. So we have time for like one smaller market cap altcoin. You got a trade for us today, or we want to stick with the majors?
I mean, I've always got small.
Give me one.
All right, let's look up AI16Z. It's a crypto name. It's an AI crypto name supported by A16Z, the VC fund, Horowitz. And all of these small and mid cap charts have the exact same. If you pull it up on the crypto tab, they all have the same chart style. We had a massive move up, absolute capitulation, selling nonstop into a accumulation range and a rounded bottom. We move up to this key horizontal level at this kind of 29, 30, 31 cent level. We see consolidation, bull flag, bull pennants, whatever you want to name it or call it. And then we have an explosive move. This has been working nonstop in TTI. Altcoin, PopCat, Mog, all of these names, largely memes and AI, have done this exact same setup and exploded. You can look at any of those charts and see the exact same setup. So this is where we're at now. We're looking at these AI names. Memes and AIs, sector performance-wise, have been the best performers outside of Bitcoin and majors in the crypto market for the last 1 month to 2 weeks, 1 week, and 1 day. And so we want to be able to own these assets with relative strength. So for this one, we're probably going to get an explosive candle in the next 1 to 3 days, and we want to be owners above 32 cents. Once we clear this area we just got up to, that's when we want to take it. You use trend-based fib extensions. If those a 618 fib at $1.55, right? It's a 7x from here. It's essentially a 14 to 1 risk to reward. Given the stop is going to be below this current level of consolidation at 23 cents, we're going to want to lower our position size down. We can bet small and win big. This is a 14 to 1 risk reward, what we can take advantage of in TTI or to anyone who's listening to this.
I love this setup. I will absolutely buy this with you. This is fantastic. For those of you watching this, we buy this in the TradFi space all of the time with good results, particularly when the market starts to enter back into a bull market, which it does feel like increasingly that we are, particularly in the crypto space. And just to add a little something on here, it is a high ADR name. So 18% on the day, meaning this thing moves a lot. So position sizing down makes sense. And to back up what he was saying, the most logical place for a stop here would be below the range that we've set over the last 2 weeks. So if you throw your stop somewhere around, we'll say 23 just for intensive purposes right now, you shift click this down below 32, you go down to about 23. That's like a 27% stop. So just keep that in mind, folks, that if you're trading higher beta stuff, you have to have a wider stop to make the trade make sense. And the only way that you can dictate risk there is by lowering your position size. But on the flip side, these are explosive breakouts, and like he said, you can grab some absolutely incredible runners, and this happens in the crypto market all the time. I'm a buyer of this later today, and I'm a buyer of Ethereum later today. I think both of those you've bowled me up on. I would appreciate it if you sent me your charts later so I can add them into the write-up that I'm going to be making as well, Josh, because you have all of the actual entries and stuff already on the charts, and I'll send them out.
That sounds perfect. Yeah, I think the key thing here is that a lot of these rounded bottom charts, folks who are listening, folks in TTI, you can get into crazy parabolic moves. If we are going into, I'm going to jokingly say a golden bull run after this pullback we've had, you're getting, you don't need to time the bottom and risk your capital when you can get an entry like this, right? You're down 99%, 95% from the highs. If these continue to run, you're in incredible positions and you're entering at perfect timing to see the largest portion of that gain. So a lot of people who are trying to time the bottom and show off euphoric P&Ls, just be smart about it. It's not that hard.
It really isn't. Give it a little bit more wiggle room than you originally expected to need, and you can make a bunch of money. Okay, that's it for today's crypto report. If you're inside of TTI, please leave a comment if you have any questions below the video on the market research side. Josh will get back to you as soon as possible. Josh, I appreciate you and the flexibility being able to do this on a Thursday. I know it was out of the blue, but thank you. And I look forward to the Ethereum and the, AI16Z trade that we're going to post in a little bit.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, especially when there's green candles going on.
All right. See you guys next week.